Namo Vishnupadhaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namo Vishnupadhaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namayo Vishnupadhaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurava Ni Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadhi Pashatyate Shatarine Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ke Jai. Govardhan Puja Mahotsav Ke Jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to the Govardhan Puja festival. Hari Bol. Vrindavan Chanda Prabhu. Just 1 minute. So, just a few informations. At 6 o'clock, we're going to continue in here with the class. We have His Holiness Ananda, Bhakti Ananda Tirtha Maharaj here, and he will come at 6. But before that, we would request all of you to go out. Because we're going to bring Giri Govardhan to the altar, and of course we want the Lord to see him first. And just also an information for the parents. There's going to be a program for the children upstairs from 6 onwards. And then at 6:45 there will be a children Govardhan Parikrama. So they also made a small children Govardhan, so you can go up with the children. Okay? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
This is the truth.
Now, only pucharis on the altar. Okay, and now pucharis have to leave. Most of them. And then and now from this side.
Что яйца?
A little bit more here. Okay, fits inside. Yes.
Jetzt an ihr Outfit.
Still hold on, don't show me. Okay. Dr. Finland, the ones who want, please come back at 8 o'clock. We do the whole story backwards. Yeah, 8 -ish. 9 back on the... So it's 8.
The document says it's for
Can you play that drum? I'll sing a little bit. Seems like a wise thing to do at the moment. But the kids, yeah, I've been informed, yeah. 6:45. Ruckus. I'll chant a little bit just to get the message across. As you like. No, you won't. I guess introduction's okay. Yeah. Where's the cover? This is so loud. Where's the cover? It's okay, no worries. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari
Hare Krishna. Let us welcome His Holiness Bhakti Ananda Tirtha Maharaj by chanting Harivo. Thank you for visiting, Maharaj, especially on this very auspicious day of Govaradhan Puja. I would like to give a short introduction to those of you who might not know Maharaj. He is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami, and in 2016 he accepted the sannyas order, the order of the renounced monk. And Maharaj has been traveling ever since, preaching Krishna consciousness in many countries. And before that, I think that's quite interesting, Maharaj has been serving as a temple president in San Diego, and he's actually been very successful in establishing a brahmachari ashram with many, many monks living there. And also they were preaching in a very modern way. They introduced a program which was called, or is still going on actually, Krishna Lounge. And this attracted many young people, newcomers to Krishna consciousness. So thank you so much, Maharaj, for visiting. And Maharaj will be here till next Monday, so we will also be here on Friday for the Prabhupada Disappearance Day, and on Sunday as well for the Sunday feast. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, and I welcome all of you. Is the window open?
Yes, yeah. Just.
Oh, let it be open, yeah. Let it be fresh air. I guess there's nothing we can do about the noise, right? That's the festival Bhava. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I don't know who desires it, maybe Krishna but some or other. Every year I celebrate Govardhan Puja here. And if it happens 2 more years in a row, I'll run out of stuff to say. I dug through my notes. I was like, oh man, I don't know how many Govardhan Lila lectures I gave here. Okay, I don't have a clue who's in the audience and how relevant this presentation will be to each of you, but yeah, there's a lot going on in this event that Vaishnavas, especially Gaudiya Vaishnavas, celebrate with great joy. It's truly a special festival, and last time when I was here, I really spoke about the uniqueness of this festival, but some other time about that. I'll just quickly tell what happened, like really, really brief. So, Krishna appeared in this world, and he spent much of his time in Vrindavan, as we say, Shri Vrindavan Dham, the holy place of Vrindavan. And in that area, a lot of activities took place that Gaudiya Vaishnavas consider sacred and enchanting, and in the scriptures it is stated that Krishna specifically came to exhibit these activities and pastimes, or in Sanskritam we say Lilas, to give us a subject matter for meditation, that we have something to think about, something to ponder, something to plan deeply in our minds, in our consciousness. And one of the pastimes that took place was this lifting of Govardhan hill. Now, I mean, over the years I gave God knows how many lectures at universities, and often I'd be invited by professors to be what I call that, a visiting scholar. At least that's a term in the States, a visiting scholar. So the local professor would invite me as a visiting scholar, even though I'm anyhow, I guess I'm some kind of a scholar, to give a lecture there. And these professors would be professors of Hinduism. And I'd be, at my utter dismay, I would discover what they present as Hinduism. It's like, I'm like, what did you read, children's book or something? Be really disappointing. Like just some basic concepts, theism, polytheism, atheism, pantheism, like you find all of this within the Vedic fold. And they would just do away with all of this variety and have some kind of a typically polytheistic concept, half-baked. And so, however, what we find specifically in the Vaishnava scriptures, which by the way are, Vaishnavism is the most prominent Hindu tradition, and the Vaishnava scriptures are by far the most prominent scriptures within the Vedic or Hindu fold, which even majority of Indians or Hindus don't know. Just like I grew up in a Catholic country, my parents, relatives, they're all Catholics, none of them ever read the Bible. And will not read it. So, what we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavata Purana is a description that there is God and there are gods below God. And these gods are not God. And in order to make a clear distinction, Srila Prabhupada would often translate this term gods as demigods. Like, they're not God, they're just a little below. They're like, sort of like universal managers. And Indra, how many of you have read Srimad Bhagavatam? Okay. Okay, good number, yeah. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Indra, a demigod, Lord Indra has been used as a bad example. He has a lot of incidences, quite a few, even though he's a very exalted personality. If one would not know the exalted position and the qualities of Lord Indra, one would think that this person is like, who put him in the office? No, Lord Indra is a very elevated person. However, in the Bhagavatam, we have quite a few very intense incidences where he just messes it up big time. And there is a reason why this is so. These are very powerful messages. And so Krishna comes to Vrindavan as a little boy. And on one particular day, local people are preparing an offering, a religious offering to the demigod Indra. And Krishna talks him out of it. As a matter of fact, he tells him to worship a hill, which is, if you think about it, it's quite funny. Big brahmanas, very important personalities, about to commence a very, very important religious ceremony, and the little boy talks him out of it and tells him to worship a hill. And all this for a purpose. And the purpose is very important. Typically, people who come to religion only seldom notice the content of religion. They just get really hung up on the container or the externals of the religion. So there are important things. Why did Krishna do this? So anyhow, Krishna talked them out of performing that sacrifice that was to be offered to Lord Indra and please him. And this person, this otherwise very exalted person, a very important point, no small person, it's a very important person, he loses it. His pride is hurt. He wants a revenge. And then he goes about punishing these people. Oh, you're making fun of me? I'll teach you a lesson. And then he basically wants to liquidate them all, wants to inundate the whole land, flood and wash everyone off. And send some torrential rains and winds, and it was supposed to be a huge catastrophe. And people are fearing, the residents of Vrindavan Dham are fearing for their lives. Now, Krishna does something which, again, it's funny. Krishna is always having fun. That's an interesting thing to note, no matter what. And then Krishna lifts this hill, giant hill, invites everyone underneath the hill. The storm blows over, and Indra notices Indra did his best. He did all he could to just like decimate the whole Vrindavan. But Krishna wouldn't let him. And while doing this, Krishna was having a lot of fun. So everyone's having a, what was it, 7 days? I forget now. 7 days there was a festival under the hill. As Indra was foaming at his mouth and, you know, fires bursting out of his ears. Not precisely, but he was just mad with anger. And then he realized, like, okay, I miscalculated something here. And then he pulls back, goes down and apologizes to Lord Krishna. And this brings us to a chapter in the Srimad Bhagavatam where Indra and Surabhi, the mother of all cows, come and offer prayers to pacify Krishna, who's peaceful. There's no need to pacify him. But to plead to him for forgiveness. And now, not both of them. Surabhi didn't do anything wrong. Surabhi came, very interesting. Indra came to beg for forgiveness. It was like, oh my Lord, you know, I made a huge blunder. I mean, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In my illusion, because you appear like a child playing in the dirt of Vrindavan, I don't know what did I think. It just went into my head that I'm this big universal manager and everyone bows down to me, and someone didn't bow down and I lost it. Which is what tends to happen. Like sometimes, not anymore, but in certain parts of the world, clerks, for God's sake. You have to please the clerk in order to pass through. Please the ego of the clerk. Had lots of these kind of incidences in third world countries. Excuse me. Oh, it's really full. Will I make it or not? By the mercy of Lord, I made it. God's great. I better not joke because I'm stimulating my thoughts. So Indra offers these prayers and he's begging for forgiveness from Krishna. And then Krishna tells him that he did all of that, for only one reason, to show Indra mercy. And the mercy was to deflate the inordinate, what's the word? You have inordinate pride. In other words, pride that's not normal. Pride that is not due, but undue pride. Pride that he doesn't deserve. Too much pride. Krishna did all of that just to deflate the pride of Indra. But Surabhi came for some other reason. She came because she was fried with Indra. Fried, that's a very machiscon term. Frustrated. Very frustrated with Indra. And so, in one purport, it is not Prabhupada who wrote these purports, but the devotees of Prabhupada, disciples of Prabhupada, because Prabhupada by this time passed away and the rest of the Bhagavatam was translated and commented upon following the previous acharyas by some group of disciples by Srila Prabhupada. And they write that Indra was trusted with leadership, but he had abused it. So Indra was trusted with leadership and then he abused it. This is very common, by the way, in this world. Very, very common. Prominent positions tend to go into the heads of people in those positions. Anyhow, Indra had issues with it. And so therefore, Surabhi requested Krishna to become Indra. Now, Indra is not a specifically person. Indra is a position of a universal manager, and this position is taken up by different, typically worthy persons. And so this position of Indra was given to this particular person whose name is not mentioned, just the name Indra, like something like president or vice president, but he had abused it. And now Surabhi, who was subordinate to Indra, she, in one of the verses, expresses her frustration with it. So it is very difficult to serve under unqualified authority. Very difficult. It's like having a cap on top and things just don't go up because there's a cap. And so she expresses her frustration. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. And then she asks Krishna directly, the Supreme Person, oh, please, you become the Indra. And Krishna agrees. And then Krishna becomes Indra. He never says afterwards what happened, but it seems like he accepted it and then gave it back to Indra. Which is another interesting thing. So devotees comment on this, says, we should carefully perform our duties without false pride. Thus we will not become obsolete and embarrassed, as in the present case of King Indra, who actually attacked Lord Krishna and his Vrindavana devotees. And then in a couple of verses later says, Surabhi makes it quite clear that she has had enough of the leadership of imperfect demigods like Indra. Like she's frustrated, that's it, I had enough. Now, this is a common disease. This is a very common disease, and it's referred to many, many times. So, mind you, it's no small thing that Krishna personally deflates the pride of a specific person. I mean, if God came and personally deflated your pride, means you're good at something, but you blew it. You are an important person, and God Himself came to do it. But another message that we get, that if God Himself came to do it, means it is very, very important. And so it is, what is it, what's the thing that is very important? And that's the subject matter of, relatively, of this presentation. I guess I'll read that first. In the Bhagavad Gita, does anyone know what's the title of the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Very well. That was fast. Did you just read it?
I have remembered this.
Good. And what's the topic of Purushottama Yoga? There are two topics. Does anyone know? The first topic, the second topic is Purusha Uttama, the Supreme Person, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. And the first half, the first subject actually, which is way less than a half, but way more important. I don't wanna make that mistake by saying that, but it is very important. And in terms of tonight's presentation, most important. And that is the process. The process of coming out of the tree, the banyan tree, which is so complex that one gets entangled in it. This world is compared to this banyan tree. And our loitering in this world is equated to getting lost within this tree, within the complexity of this tree. You just get like in a jungle, and you cannot come out. And then dealing with this tree successfully and coming out of this tree is the path of liberation, spiritual emancipation, which is the goal of life. at the end, how many of you have read Prabhupada's translation commentaries on Bhagavad Gita? Just so I, okay, quite a few, okay? Just so I know how much I need to or don't need to tell. In each chapter, Prabhupada summarizes that chapter in the purport or the commentaries to the last verse of the chapter. And so Prabhupada also summarizes this very important chapter. And I have taken just 2 or 3 sentences that deal with the subject matter. So 15:20, if anyone, that's the last verse of the chapter. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, there are certain things which require to be vanquished. They have to be vanquished. All together. So, not just vanquish, but like, once you cut the plant, pull the root out too. That's what it means. And then he says, the most important thing one has to surmount, get over, is weakness of the heart. You know the Sanskrita? Hridaya daurbalyam. Very well. Literally means the difficulty of the heart. Prabhupada translated it, weakness of the heart. What are these difficulties or weaknesses, or one weakness of the heart that's got two elements to it? Then Prabhupada continues, the first fall down. So that's the first aspect of this weakness of the heart. Once I was given a lecture in, I better not say what was the city, and I mentioned this weakness of the heart. And then one Mataji got angry with me because her husband had a weak heart. Like literally. I don't know, like he had a bypass surgery or something like that. She totally missed the point. We're not talking about the pump. We're talking about the content of our consciousness. So Prabhupada writes, the first fall down is caused by, number 1, the desire to lord it over material nature. So that's the first element of the this weakness of the heart. Desire to lord it over material nature. It's gotta be under my control. And this manifests in great many forms and shapes. It's interesting to notice that truly religious or spiritually advanced people, they're capable of accepting the destiny. Because they don't quite require to lord over everything. So anyhow, but this, like people need, they want to possess stuff and like that and so on. So the desire to lord it over material nature. Prabhupada continues, thus one gives up the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. Then the second sentence, the second weakness of the heart is that as one increases the propensity to lord, right, as that propensity increases, to lord over the material nature, one becomes attached to matter. One becomes attached to matter, and the possessor and the possession of matter, because possession of matter, that's basically the first one. You want to lord and possess. That's one and the same thing. So this is the weakness of the heart that's got 2 prongs. And then Prabhupada continues, the problems of material existence are due to these weaknesses of the heart. And those of you who had a chance to read Srila Prabhupada's books, you know that this is repeated very, very often. There are many different types of problems, but if we look at it, different problems rest on some other problems. And as you go down, you come to the core of the issue. And the claim here is that the core of the issue is weakness of the heart. Namely that one wants to be controller or the owner. And then one becomes attached to the possession of matter. Like if you think of any war, like people say religion causes wars. No. In the name of religion, these two things cause wars. These are huge issues. And so similarly, Indra said, everything's under my control. I'm the boss here. Well, they quit the sacrifice that was supposed to be offered to me. I'll show you who's the boss here, who's in control here. I don't know if it's still going on because there's a lot of propaganda against it, but when I was in elementary school, like you always had bullies, people who were just emotionally incomplete, and in their incompleteness had to bully other people to feel worthy. But your worth does not come from ascending over someone else. Like that happens time and time and time again. This tendency to lord over. Fashion is not always, I don't want to make that statement, but it is too often a lorded over statement. Nowadays, if you were to go out at a restaurant and pull out a flip phone, that would be equal to social suicide. A flip phone. Dude, where are you from? What's your social ring? And that's another jungle that people don't speak of, but it's happening all the time. That's a social jungle, like who's on top. And the other day anyhow, I'm not going to go into that discussion now. So Prabhupada makes this very deep sentence. The problem of material existence, the problems of material existence are due to these weaknesses of the heart. That's the root cause of it all. That's what Prabhupada says. That's also stated in, has any one of you read Isha Upanishad? In the purport to the first verse, Isha Vasyamidam Sarvam, that everything belongs to Isha or God, Prabhupada says that all problems arise from people not understanding this and claiming themselves lords of this, that, and the other thing. Things are up for grabs. Natural resources, list goes on. Okay. So, and then one more sentence. In this chapter, the first, so you may mentally note this, it's very useful. In this chapter, meaning the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, first 5 verses describe the process of freeing oneself from these weaknesses of the heart. So if you want to find out how to get rid of these weaknesses of the heart, read the first 5 verses of the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And I warmly recommend reading Prabhupada's translation with his commentaries. And the rest of the chapter, from the 6th verse through the end, discuss the Purushottama Yoga. Now, how many of you have read what was it? Animal Farm. Animal Farm? Right, the long time, me too, long time ago. No one here read Animal Farm? Oh yeah. Oh, you have read, okay. I mean, even when I was a teenager, cool kids read that. Animal Farm. Yeah, Animal Farm was, what's the author's name? Orwell. Very bright fellow, and there is a reason why I chose this, because it's interesting. The socialism / communism was what he commented upon in the Animal Farm. And if you remember at the end, towards the end on the barn door or a wall, remember there was a statement written, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others or other. Because in that story, the pigs, these are all animals who speak. And pigs have taken the leadership position. And from this socialism, which means we all together govern our destiny and we're all equal, from that idea to the pigs becoming supreme and absolutely abusive of other animals. If you know the history of socialism, that's what it was. Socialism/communism. Very interesting. I mean, how can such noble idea of equality turn into... I mean, I grew up in Yugoslavia. There was a socialist country, communist country. For God's sake, what that thing to be... It was just super obvious. It was buffoonery. What's a German word? Buffoonery. That's like it's silly, it's sad, it's a joke, but it's serious. Maybe you should cry over it. That's buffoonery. The whole thing was just such a farce. And in the name of equality, some were way more equal. If you want to know something about our own nature, I'm not pointing fingers to other people. Are people, and under certain conditions, we have a tendency to exhibit our propensities. This tells us something very important about our propensities. That's why it's, even though it's a small book, it's considered one of the more influential works in modern history. Animal Farm. Now, what we find here is that an authority was kicked out of his office because he was degraded. Because he did a horrible thing, because this person abused his position. Indra abused his position. He was trusted, like in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada writes that government is like the loving parent to the citizens. And in the age of Kali, the government will abuse the citizens. And that's as horrible as parents abusing their own children. Just horrific. And so the people in the positions of power, they have great responsibility. To them, people go for shelter. And for them to abuse their power, it's really bad. And therefore, he lost the position. He was kicked out of the office, Lord Indra. However, we have interesting examples in the Bhagavatam. How many of you have read the story of Daksha? Daksha and Shiva and Sati. Not that many. Not that many, okay. Well, I'll tell it really quick. Yeah. Okay, I better. Daksha was yet another very exalted person, and he was given this position by God himself, almost like Indra. He was directly given this position and this service, this office, this responsibility from God, from the boss, from the person number one in the universe, in everything that exists. And I also had a little bit of a pride issue. And Lord Shiva, who's, by the way, by his office and his position, more exalted than Daksha. But some or other, Shiva married the daughter of Daksha. So Daksha felt like, you're my son-in-law. As my son-in-law, you should offer me respect. And when Daksha would enter a room, everyone would stand up. No one does this anymore. It happened to me in Romania. I was giving a lecture at a hotel. There's over 100 people there, and the lecture was to start at 7 o'clock. I was there 1 minute before 7. Everyone was in. Better than Swiss. And I got in and they all stood up. I was shocked. What's happening? Never happened before. And I had to walk all the way to the front. So I was looking at everybody. They're all standing up. I didn't know what to do. Then occurred to me, perhaps I should sit. So when I sat, then everyone sat down. Like they seem to still have that cultural aspect. So when Daksha would enter a room, or in this case, as described in the Bhagavatam, a huge arena, everyone would stand up in order to greet a superior person who's having a very important function. But Lord Shiva didn't. And that just like really messed with him. It was like a worm that entered his mind and just worked its magic. Worked him up so bad that ultimately there was a fight and mess, and people got murdered. There was a bloody scene. The whole thing turned really bad. But what's interesting, despite Daksha making this mistake, he was reinstated in his office. He was pardoned. And he was reinstated in his office. And some chapters later, he made another blunder. Daksha again. Like he didn't learn his lesson. That's the nature of the Hridaya Daurbalyam. It's a pattern upon which we act. And it takes a lot to get that out. The easiest thing is to do a dumb ritual. Anyone can do that. But religion's not meant for it. As Prabhupada writes in the beginning of the Bhagavad, that's unscrupulous people tell you that. Religion is a system of knowledge that points out the things that shouldn't be in the heart, and gives you the system by which to pull these weeds out. I mean, he just went through a whole ordeal, and you would think, and he, like Indra, he says, oh my God, never again, I'll never again make that mistake. Like I said to my mother when I was a kid, buy me this toy and I'll be peaceful forever. What a lie. But I was truly honest when I said it. I totally meant it. But it couldn't keep the vow for more than a week. That's the Hridaya Daurbalyam, the weakness of the heart. So we adults do same things, just in a more grandiose fashion, like wars and plagiarizing and stealing and dominating other people and like that. But interestingly enough, he was again pardoned. He was pardoned. Why was he pardoned? Let me see if there's another incident in the Bhagavatam when Prithu was coronated. How many of you have read that? When Prithu was coronated, and then he had issues with Indra again Indra. There's a lot of stories, bad stories about Indra. It's like a poster boy for how you shouldn't be. Prithu was performing again some religious functions that required a horse, and he's repeated that 99 times, and he needed to do it 100 times. And then every time wanted to do the 100th one, Indra would come and snatch the horse. And then again he was pardoned at the end. Prithu, as an incarnation of God, was about to punish him. But then Lord Brahma came and says, no, please, let him go. Smart relents. That's what my mother used to tell to me and my sister when we would fight. And then, you quit. No, she should quit. No one quits. And then mother would say, the smart relents, but we were relentless. Just keep at it. And Prithu just backed off. It didn't complete the 100th sacrifice. And Indra was pardoned yet again. Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON movement specifically is a very, very young institution that springs from a very old tradition, but a very young institution. And when Prabhupada came, he dealt with very, very inexperienced boys and girls who at times were quite naughty, to put it super politely. They made all kinds of mistakes, and some mistakes were really bad. And Prabhupada often pardoned when should one be pardoned and when should one not be pardoned is a huge discussion. But those who are incapable of pardoning or of pardoning someone, they don't exhibit a great they don't exhibit the character of a great person, because under certain circumstances the person should be pardoned. And one of the reasons why the person is pardoned, because this anartha, or this disease of the heart, or the weakness, or the trouble of the heart, is, as it is explained there, it is the core of our materialistic condition. And it does not come out that easy. And I'm saying this for a purpose, as I hope you all have enough of inspiration to deal with it, to be vigilant, to try to detect it, to pull it out by appropriate means. But if you don't manage to do so, don't be despondent. This is no small task. That's why we have Indra doing it. That's why the example is given of very exalted person, Lord Indra. And what an example. I mean, he wanted to wipe out everyone in Vrindavan together with Krishna. For what? For the hurt pride. Daksha, very exalted person. These are universal managers. Chosen not by their mere material qualification, but also by their spiritual or moral qualification. These are people of tremendous moral fiber, but even them can succumb to this disease. And this is so important that Krishna himself comes to tackle this issue. Now, one little detail from this chapter, this is Krishna's sensitivity. I thought this was really, really gentlemanly on part of Krishna, namely that when everything was over, Krishna knew now Indra will come to apologize. And then Krishna sat at a secluded place, so that Indra doesn't have to be too embarrassed. Apologizing in front of everybody. It's easier when you're in a room just with one person. So Krishna made it easier for Indra. This is a gentle person. Krishna is supremely gentle. A little interesting detail. Because the tendency is there. Nietzsche said that to when you fight the beast, you should see that you yourself do not become a beast. Or a monster, I think it said monster. When you fight a monster, you yourself should see that you do not become a monster. And people, when they punish other people, they have a tendency to go over the limit. Oh, that's the kids' kirtan. There is a... yeah, I have loads of examples, but I'll just conclude this. By taking shelter of Krishna, which is, by the way, one of the also very important points of this pastime of Govardhan Lila, lifting the Govardhan hill, because Krishna also taught everyone, take shelter in me. And so when taking shelter, when we're wronged, we have a tendency, not always, but sometimes we have a tendency to be worse than a person who perpetrated the evil on us. That's why the saying, when dealing with monsters, you should see that you yourself do not become a monster. And one great Vaishnava, spiritual quality is that the person is capable of forgiving, when the forgiveness is what ought to be done. The other extreme is to punish the person way beyond what is necessary. So when dealing with the beast, you should see to not become a beast. And this is dealt with by surrendering to Krishna. In other words, taking shelter and refuge in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because that decentralizes the person. It's the meekness that makes one take shelter in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, instead of mafia hiring a hitman and like that. You solve your problems by actually surrendering to Krishna. So finding shelter in the Lord, man saves himself from the transformation into the beast. And it's still, in those of you who've been to Bengal, it is very common to use the imagery of elephants and lions, where these obstacles in the heart are compared to elephants. An elephant is a formidable animal, huge. I don't know if anyone of you ever tried to push an elephant. It's a futile attempt. Huge, humongous animal. But Krishna is compared to a lion, and an elephant runs away from a lion. So by taking shelter in Krishna, one rids oneself from specifically these two propensities of arrogant lording over, and then attachments that come from it. And in this way, the huge elephant is being tackled. This obstacle of an elephant. Om Tat Sat. Are there any questions or comments, perhaps? All right, looks like we're good for tonight. Oh, no, oh, there is two. Sorry.
Thank you very much at first for this very nice lesson. I was wondering why Prabhupada defines these two weaknesses as weakness of heart, because I rather in my stage of knowledge, consider it as like weakness of ego, or your false ego or false identification. And why is it in the heart? Because in the heart,
we don't have Prabhupada around to ask him, and I'm not aware that anyone specifically asked him, but from what I can tell, because Prabhupada took this from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Prabhupada, like this whole concept, Hridaya Daurbalyam, the weakness of the heart, or the difficulties of the heart, literally, with these two prongs, that's from the commentaries of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur on the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which deals with liberation. Very few people that come to religion care about liberation. But nevertheless, that's the purpose of religion. The rest is a joke, in which we hope that people will come to the points ultimately. And the sense that you get there is that this is at the heart of our conditioning. So it's the bottom of, from it everything else springs. Like this is sort of like the primordial disease. It's the heart of the problem. So that's why the weakness of the heart. Heart also is often used as a synonym for the center of something, like the heart of a problem. The heart of a being, where all of your emotions and thoughts and desires and all the hidden stuff, it's in the heart. So that's the impression I get. I wasn't keeping... Well, he was before you, unless you had your hand before. No. Okay. Did you have your hand too? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your lecture. You said that we have to take shelter of Krishna to overcome that weakness of the heart, and it might be a very simple and somehow stupid question, but when I'm overwhelmed by it, how do I take shelter of Krishna practically?
No, you cannot. That's the point of being overwhelmed. That's why you have to do it before and after. There has to be, what do you call, there's retroaction behind the act? What's the action before the act? Proactive. So proaction and, what did I just say? And retroaction. We often... That's a very important. That's one of the. That's what we can do. When we become aware, like first solution to nearly always to a problem is to become aware of the problem, and then when you're aware of the problem, you study the problem so you can recognize it, and so that you can recognize the beginning phases of the displaying of the problem, so that you. By recognizing those first symptoms, you can put a plug to it. And we ought to make this effort. And by this effort, we don't become pure. We become pure by God's mercy. But in order to get God's mercy, you have to demonstrate your sincerity by doing this. So when you become aware of the problem, that's your proaction. But nevertheless, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I took a vow that I wouldn't do certain things just to do them yet again. So, God help me. This is very disappointing. But in due course you get better. And so once it had happened, and definitely it will happen, then you reflect how it happened. What was the nature when it was happening? What were the symptoms of it arriving onto the scene? What could you have done like that? And this is active spiritual life. And you pray to Krishna to give you strength to, to make it through it all. like that. And it's described in the Bhagavatam. Then Krishna, who's in the heart, cleans the heart when you do this. But when you're overwhelmed, you behave like a dummy. Yeah, and it's embarrassing, you know. And it's a huge risk to become a guru or something, and then, you know, you're like center of attention, and then you display something like that. You get overwhelmed. It's super embarrassing. Indra, super important person. So embarrassing. Lord Brahma. I don't know if I should say it. Lord Brahma ran after his own daughter. Like, so. Thus, we should, you know, we ought to cultivate a culture of tolerance and intolerance towards these things. Intolerance in ourselves and tolerance in others, in a sense of trying to understand other people. And typically people who are really nasty towards others are the people who don't really work on these problems with themselves. Because once you get to know this problem, you can really feel with other people. You can have some understanding. Well, we're living in egalitarian times, but Prabhuji said that. Go for it.
Thank you very much. My question is very much related to the previous one. So you mentioned that when we surrender and take shelter into the Lord, we save ourselves from becoming a monster.
Yeah.
And my question is that when we are confronted with a monster, like through toxic relationship or abuse, how do we surrender on that moment? So what should we do exactly when confronted with abuse? So, and not, of course, we're not overwhelmed, but we're on the spot, on that moment. So what would be a Vaishnava way of...
That's a way different situation, yeah. If you're in a toxic relationship that you can't get out of, and you're on the receiving end of the abuse, it's nasty stuff. How do you take shelter of the Lord?
On the spot, when the abuse is happening.
Well, first, one has a duty, and that's described in the Bhagavatam. One has it is everyone's duty. Very interesting concept. It is everyone's duty to protect their own life. That's there in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam when Kansa wanted to kill his own sister. I mean, it's a deranged fellow. Because of an unembodied voice told him something. Guy was hearing voices. Excuse me. And that's a no small duty. So we have a duty to. That's not just duty towards ourselves. That's duty towards a larger reality. I mean, what kind of a world would be when everyone would just a pushover? You know what a pushover is? When everyone pushes, you just fall. No, man, you're not gonna push me. So there's a lot of dimension to that concept of self-preservation. That's like your duty, you know, towards yourself and a greater reality. So you ought to do all the practical things you can do to solve that issue like that. And the way we take shelter of Krishna, it is interesting that people who are shelterless are capable of taking deep, deep shelter in the Lord. And ultimately, very advanced devotees, they understand that we're all shelterless at all times, really. in a sense that there's a verse in the second canto of the Bhagavatam that says that our friends, relatives, parents, whatnot, they're like clay soldiers who wish us well, but they're not real soldiers, they're just like clay soldiers. They look like they can help, and it seems like they can help to an extent, but they're not all helpful, all capable. And often we find ourselves in absolutely exposed. And in the ultimate sense, that is the reality, the way a sadhu or a holy person sees it, at least in Vaishnava tradition. And when one sees oneself as shelterless, then, oh, Krishna's name becomes so sweet. I mean, in my travels, once I suffered so greatly. It was Ekadashi, and I fasted the whole day and whole night. And then I got on a flight to fly to San Diego, and I would land in San Diego just an hour after the time to break the fast. And the flight got delayed, and the second flight got delayed, and the third flight got cancelled. And it was this process of boarding the plane, and then that anticipation we're going to take off, and then they tell you we're not taking off, and then coming out again, going to the other part of the airport, and then, okay, here's the plane, we're going in. Will it be cancelled this time? Will it? No. And I'm hungry, and I'm Pitta, if you know about doshas. Pittas don't take well fast, like not at all. I mean, I suffered tremendous. I wanted to bite someone. I wanted to cry. And then at the end, when the third flight got cancelled, 3 flights in a row, for God's sake. That's a process of about 5 hours, planning, boarding and unboarding and all of that. And then when everything was, I gave up. It's like I just took my beads and I just aimlessly chanted. It was the best job I ever. I was thinking, wow, man, this is good. I mean, it was induced by pain, but it doesn't have to be induced by pain. Good sadhus, they always enjoy in their heart the infallible shelter of Krishna. And in due course, that's the point, that we experience that shelter all the time. I mean, I was a soldier. I don't know if I ever told you this, but people were shooting at me like it's no fun when someone wants to literally murder you. And I was a devotee at the time, and there were a number of occasions where I had enough of it, and I would just chant. It was really good spiritual experience. It was just a mad fortune I didn't get killed. But I just gave up. I was like, to hell with it all. Those were first tastes of Krishna shelter. Oh, did that answer your question at least somewhat? We should end, right? It's 7 o'clock. All right. Thank you for your attention. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, His Holiness Bhakti Ananda Tirtha Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Now please everybody, you can stand up. We're going to have the Gaura Arati. And you can take your pillows, we place them in the corner there. And the men can come to this side, the ladies on the right hand side. Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai, Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. जय श्री गिरी गोवर्धन की जय, श्री गिरिराज धरम की जय। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravane Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Vashata Deshatarine Shiva Jayo Jayo Gaura Chande Arati Kosho Jannavi Tatavane Jagamanologa Takine Nittai Chan Bamegadadhara Nikate Adaita Shini Vasa Chatradara Bosi Ase Gaura Chan Ratna Singhasane Arati Karena Brahma Adi Devagane Nara Hare Hare Kari Chamaradulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Goshatikaya Shankha Bhaje Ganta baje baje Katha. Madhura mridanga baje paramarasala. Shankha baje Ganta baje Madhur 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 baje. Hey! Shankha baje Ganta baje Madhur 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 baje. Shankha baje Ganta baje Madhur 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 baje. Shankha baje Ganta baje Madhur 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 baje. Hari bol Hari bol Hari bol Nitai Gaura Hari bol. Jai Nitai Gaura Hari bol Hari bol Bol Nitai Gaura Hari bol. Bahu khoti chandrajini gadana uchala. Gala deshe mana malo Kore jalamala. Shiva Shuka Narada Preme Gada Gada. Bhakti vinoda dekhe Gaura Sampada. Ki bajayo Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kasho Abo. Jannavi Tatavane Jagamana Loga. Jannavi Tatavane Jagamana Loga. Gaurangera Roti Shobha Jagajana Mana Loga. Gaurangera Roti Shobha Jagajana Mana Loga. Gaurangirarati Shobha Jagajanamana Lobha Gaurangirarati Shobha Jagajanamana Lobha Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga 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 Gaura 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 Hari Gaura 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 Hari Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Satinandana Jaya Satinandana Jaya Satinandana Jaya Satinandana Gaura 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 Hari Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Bo Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Gaura 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 Hari Gaura 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 Hari Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Nitai 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 Gauranga Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jai Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Go Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Whoa! With all your heart Nitai Gaur Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bo! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hear the name. Chant with all your heart. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Giri Govardhan go. Giri Govardhan Jai Giri Govardhan. Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan. Oh, Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan. Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan. Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Ich muss nachher noch mehr. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Oh! Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Ram. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Vrindavan Dham, Jaya Vrindavan Dham. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jagannath, Jagannath, Baladeva Subhata. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Namaste. Okay. Please, we all sit down for Namaste and then we do Damodarashtakam. Namaste Narasimhaya. Oh. Prahlada Lada Dahine. Prahlada Lada Dahine. Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha. Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha. Shilatankanakalaye. Shilatankanakalaye. Ita nishingo parato nishinga. Ita nishinga parato nishinga. Yata yata yamita to nishinga. Yata yata yamita to nishingo. Bahin nishinga, ridaya nishinga. Bahin nishinga, ridaya nishinga. Narasingam Marim Saranam Prapadye. Narasingam Marim Saranam Prapadye. Tavakara Kamala Bare Kam Apotatringam Talita Hiranyakashipu Tando Pringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagdisha Hare Jai Jagdisha Hare Jai Jagdisha Hare Tavakara Kamala Bare Nakam
Tavakara kama lubure kama potatingam Talita irana kachipos Sano prengo Kesabatita darare rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Tabakara Kapalu Bore Rakam Singam Jai Ranagasipo Jana kare tare, kare tare, Jaya Ritingare, 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 Jaya Ritingare. Jaya Pralodishinga, Pralanitenga, Pralanitenga, Jaya Praloditenga. Jaya Ukraditenga, Jaya Ukraditenga, Ukraditenga, Jaya Ukraditenga. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Pralad Nishingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai.
Nishingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Dear devotees, now we're going to offer Damodarashtakam, and we sing Damodarashtakam, and we all are invited to offer a lamp. If we can please make this space here free, if the Matajis can go to the right hand side, and the Prabhus come to this side. Come more, everybody please, so that everybody has a chance to walk forward. And also if the devotees in the front can come a little bit to the back, so that there is enough space. Sorry, Dina, they all just have to control the crowd. I want you to move 1 meter to the back, please. Go back. Also from this side, go a little bit to the back. Haribol. Move a little bit. And Prabhu, Hare Krishna, you move to this side. Move more. You make a little bit space here, please. Move a little bit more. Okay, you come in to this side. Ihr müsst ein bisschen auf die Seite da. So please, when you offer your lamp, you don't offer obeisances in the front. Do it in the back, if you like. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Namamishvaram Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Namamishvaram Sachidanandarupam Alam Gokule Brajaman Yashoda Biyam Paramrishtamadyantato drutta gopya Yashodavya luka Paramrishtamadyantato drutta gopya Rudam tammoho netra yukmam rijantam Karambhocha yukmena satankanetram Rudam tammoho netram yukmam rijantam Karambhocha yukmena satankanetram Mohusvashakampa Trirekankakanta Stita grevata modaram bhakti badam Mohusvasakampa Ekankakanta Stita grevata modaram Driksvalilabir Ananda kunde Swagosham nivajantam Akyapayantam Driksvalilabir Ananda kunde Nivajantam Akyapayantam Tadiyashita Geshu Bhaktai Chitatvam Puna Prematastam Shatavritti Vandi Tadiyashita Puna Prematastam Shatavritti Vandi Varam Deva Moksham Namoksham Madimvana Chanya Vrineham Vareshapiha Varam Deva Moksham Madimvana Idam Deva Purnata Gopala Balam Sadame Manasa Virastam Kimana Idam Deva Purnata Gopala Balam Idam te mukam bhojam atyanta nilai Britam kundalai snikta ratascha gopya Idam te mukam bhojam atyanta nilai Britam kundalai snikta ratascha gopya Mohos chumbitam bimba raktadharame Manasa virastam alam lakshalabhai Mohos chumbitam bimba Namo Devatamo Tarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodhuka Chalapti Magnam Namadeva Damo Taranta Vishnu Prasida Prabodhuka Chalapti Magnam Kripa Drishti Vristyati Dinam Bhatanu Grihane Shamam Magyame Dakshi Drishya Kripa Drishti Vishyati Dinam Bhatanu Grihane Shamam Magyame Dakshi Drishya kuverapmachopada mudevayadva Dvayamochito bhakti bhacho krito cha kuverapmachopada mudevayadva Tata prema bhaktim svakam me prayacha Namokshedraho me stidamodarihat Ta prema bhaktim svakam me prayacha Namokshedraho me stidamodarihat Namaste sutamne Puraptiptidhamne Padiyadarayata Vishwasya dhamne Namaste sudhamne Padiyadarayata Vishwasya dhamne Namo Radhikaya Variyapriyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Vadya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Oh Namo Radhikaya Vadya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaya Vadya Priyaya Namo Nantalilaya Devaya Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Prajamanam Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Prajamanam Yashoda Vyalukala Davamanam Paramrishtamadyantato Druta Gopya Lukala Davamanam Tato Druta Gopya Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaura, Gaura Hari, Jaya Gaura Gaura. Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol. Oh, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol. Oh, Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Oh, Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Oh, Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Jaya Giri Raja, Jaya Govardhana. Giri Raja, Jaya Govardhana. Giri Raja, Jaya. Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai.
Ich mache nicht zuerst zu. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Now we have to make space for our special guest today, Giri Govardhan. Please move way to the side. Haribol, Matajis, Hare Krishna. Please make some side. Side. You know that, no? Hare Krishna. I think it's enough. Hare Krishna.
Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Shri Giriraj Maha Mahotsava ki jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Shri Giriraj Dharam ki jai. So we will all do Giriraj Parikrama now. We will go with our right hand towards Govardhan. We will turn around. We will walk around Govardhan, and don't be shy. Usually it goes very slow. You have to push the devotees very lovingly a bit so we can circumambulate Govardhan swiftly. And Govardhan wants to see what is in your heart. He gives material desires very easily, but for Krishna Prem you have to be very eager. But that's his main blessing. So please all chant. No, we are whatever, how many parikram we can do. The more the better. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Giriraj Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, ja, wo ist die Zeit? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, hear the name. Chant with your heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, oh! Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, boom! Giri Govardhan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Chant after me. Namaste Girirajaya. Namaste Girirajaya. Shri Govardhan Namine. Shri Govardhan Namine. Shesha Krishnashaya, Shesha Krishnashaya, Ashesha Krishnashaya. Paramananda Dahine, Paramananda Dahine. Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Sham, Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham, Jai Jai Radhe. Jai Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Sham, Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham. Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jai Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Sham, Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham. Jai Jai Radhe, Jai Jai Sham, Jai Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham. Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan,
Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan,
Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan,
Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan,
Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan,
Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan,
Jaya Gauranitha, Jaya Gauranitha, Jaya Gauranitha, Jaya Gauranitha. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nita Gaura Haribo, 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 Nita Gaura Haribo, Nita Gaura Haribo. Nita Gaura Haribo, 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 Nita Gaura Haribo. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari. Jai Mushin Paramhansa Parivraja Kacharya Statra Shishimati Dandi Goswami Asivine Greshila Abe Charanaravinda Bhakti Vinanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Mushin Parchila Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajikacharya Stotra Shatra Shishimati Randu Swami Simangashila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Chila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Chila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Chila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Shri Sanatan Bhadra Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatras Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridasa Ki Jai. Prem Se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Giri Govardhan Anakut Maha Mahotsava Ki Jai. Shri Nilachal Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Muna Maya Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Mati Radha Rani Ki Jai. Shri Radha Damodar Ki Jai. Shri Kartik Damodar Mas Ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Prema Bandhu. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Guru Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, this year we have a little bit of a different prasadam system. The main prasad will be served here in the entrance hall. You can go around, up, come down, and then the sweets are served in the entrance room. And then you can come here, sit in the temple room or prasadam room. Please, you all take prasad. Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Hari.